Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ken, also known as ThePopHeir. So in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys all the foundations that I own that I consider are my favorites. Like, I own more foundations, but these ones, I love them for particular reasons. So I'm just going to share with you guys now. Okay, so this is going to be sort of like a collection as well, but that being said, I have a lot more foundations than what I'm about to show you, but these ones are my favorites for particular reasons, so let's just jump into it. Okay, let's start off first with Drugstore. These foundations are by L'Oreal Paris. These are the True Match foundations. This one is in W6, W5, and these are the American version. Now, I have tried the Australian version. Unfortunately, they don't have all the shades here in Australia. The darkest shade I've seen out in the drugstore is N6, and I can wear neutral shades. I just find that sometimes I can look a little bit sunburnt when I use neutral shades, especially N6. Sometimes I just look a little bit too red, even though it's a neutral color. It's just how my skin works with that. Not a big fan of that. In terms of coverage and finish, you can definitely get a light medium to medium coverage with this foundation. I don't tend to go beyond 2 layers of foundation these days. I used to go up to like maybe 3 or 4 sometimes, especially with this foundation, to get that super duper flawless base. But I don't know, I think my skin's changed, my texture's changed, and it just looks cakey if I try that. But my preferred method to apply all these foundations I'm about to talk to you guys, except for maybe one foundation, is the beauty blender or just a beauty sponge in general. Okay, sticking to foundations, let's move on to Bourjois. This is the Bourjois Healthy Mix foundation. This one is in light bronze, number 56. Now, from memory, this is the second darkest shade they have here in Australia. Again, I'm not that tan, not that dark. Just for reference, I am an NC42 and, you know, maybe a little bit heading towards NC44, like when I'm a little bit darker. That's just like a standard, I think. I think most people still refer to max shades as their standard. Anyway, this one is a good match. This one is definitely more of a neutral color. Like you can probably tell from the screen, this one's a little bit pinky, but it's definitely more neutral on the skin. I find that this particular shade on me can look a little bit pink still, but I always try and color correct that with a powder. So coverage with this foundation is definitely a medium coverage, but it's definitely more of a luminous foundation. So this is my preferred foundation when I'm going for a nice healthy looking skin or base, like dewy finish. I do prefer this more for like everyday type makeup, not necessarily when I film, though I have used that for filming. I don't know, it doesn't look as, I don't know, like Instagram makeup worthy, if that makes sense, because I like to keep the base quite flat, that way I can just contour and highlight. This one is definitely a dewy finish, so you can tame it down with a powder obviously, but again, this is more of my daytime makeup foundation. Okay, next product is a medical grade product. This one is by Lycogel. I was approached by the brand to try it out, and this is their Breathable Camouflage Makeup. This is SPF 30. So this product is mainly aimed at people who've just done laser treatments and need some sort of like coverage to, I don't know, like hide redness, texture issues, and provide you with some sunscreen protection as well. In terms of coverage and finish, this is definitely a medium full to full coverage foundation. Like, seriously, you probably don't even need concealer with this thing unless you just use that concealer for highlighting. This stuff is the bomb. I don't really remember how much you get 20 grams of product. So again, it's medical grade, doesn't have as much product, but because it's so full coverage, it does go a long way. So my preferred method to use this product is with a buffing type brush. This one is by Real Techniques. This is the Expert Face Brush. Anything like this just to buff it in. I find that the sponge just doesn't blend it in because of how thick the formula is. It's definitely more like a creamy mousse type consistency, but it just doesn't blend with the beauty blender very well. And also, I've stained a few sponges using this, which is why I don't tend to use this unless I know I need absolute full coverage. And as you guys can probably tell, this foundation's a little bit dark on me at the moment. At the height of summer, this is definitely my shade. Oh, by the way, this was in Almond. Okay, back to the drugstore. This one is by Rimmel London. This is the Lasting Finish 25 Hour Comfort Foundation. I am in the shade 400 Natural Beige. Natural beige is not the best color match for me, I have to be honest. I find that this shade, as you guys can probably tell, is a little bit pinky, and I can wear it, but it does look like I'm a little bit sunburnt. Again, with some foundations from the drugstores, it's really hard. Like, you can find the right depth of color, but the tone's off, which is why I always, invest in where'd that go? Demo fail. Anyway, I always try and use a yellow powder to correct that problem. This one is definitely a medium coverage foundation, so it's one of those makeup products that definitely looks like makeup. It's not skin-like. Again, it's more of a demi matte finish. Unless you use a damp beauty blender to sheer it out a little bit, it can look a little bit like skin, but it's definitely more of a foundation looking foundation. Okay, let's go back to slightly higher end. This one is the MAC Pro Longwear foundation. As you guys can see, I've pretty much used it up. There's a tiny bit left that I'm trying to scrape out. This one is in NC42, and I absolutely love this foundation. I just love how the coverage is, like, you don't really need a lot, but like a little bit of product goes a long way. You get a lot of coverage. This one is definitely a medium to medium full coverage, though I don't like it when I go to medium full. I just find it looks a little bit cakey, so I always try and stick to the medium side. I love using this with a beauty blender. I love using it with a brush as well, but I do find that it goes a little bit streaky, which is why I always prefer the sponge these days. In terms of the finish on the skin, I personally think it's in between skin finish and makeup looking. Again, it's up to personal preference and what you think is makeup looking, but to me it's definitely the in-between. Like, there's still a hint of natural shine peeking through, but it's definitely a lot of coverage still. Okay, let's ping pong back down to the drugstore. So this one is by Loreal. This is the Lumi Magique foundation, or some people call it the Lumi Magic. I don't know. I think it's a French brand, so I'm going to try and pronounce it French because I'm trying to be fancy. This one is in, I don't even know what colour this is in anymore, but this is the darkest colour they have here in Australia. I think this is number 6, I believe. Again, this one's a little bit dark for me at the moment, but this is definitely one of the most beautiful finish foundations I've ever seen in the drugstore. Now, this is definitely more of a warm tone, which I'm like, thank goodness, because like I said, drugstore foundation is almost hard to find anything that's not the right tone and depth for people that are tanned or even darker. So thank you so much, L'Oreal Paris, Australia, for, bringing this shade here, because this is actually really nice. This one is definitely more of a dewy finish foundation, but it's got a decent amount of coverage. I find that a lot of dewy foundations out in the market tend to be quite sheerer, but this one is definitely nice. Like, it definitely feels like makeup on the skin. Like, the formula reminds me of the True Match foundation, but it definitely has a shine to the skin. So if you guys don't like shine, stay away from this, but if you guys would like a little bit of luminosity to the skin, definitely get this one. Okay, next product is by Maybelline. This is the Matte and Poreless. Actually, I've got the cap on backwards. There we go, fix the cap. So again, this is the Matte and Poreless foundation. Absolutely love this. This has got to be on par with this, and this. So if I had to choose my absolute favorites from the drugstores, these are my absolute holy grails. Dewy finish, makeup looking, and this is another makeup looking foundation, but with oil control. When this first came out, I was like, oh my god, I love the original version, but ever since my skin's kind of changed, I find that a little bit too dewy, so that's the dewy version, obviously. It's definitely a medium full coverage foundation. I tend to build this foundation up to maybe 2 or 3 layers. Unfortunately, 310 is the darkest colour here in Australia. Again, this is the one I'm wearing, 310. And this is my winter shade, as you guys can probably guess. I wish they had a darker colour here in Australia, and I would love to try that in a darker colour. I don't know, maybe I should go on eBay and look if, an American seller has it. So I think with the Fit Me range, it's pretty good for the drugstore. Like, a lot of them tend to be more neutral or yellow based, which is thumbs up. This one is definitely more of a neutral yellow. It's not really yellow, but it's not exactly neutral, if that makes sense. This is just... I love this foundation. I really wish they had a darker colour here in Australia. I would totally get it. In terms of its oil control properties, I think it's pretty good. Without a primer, usually my foundation breaks down maybe around the T-zone, like maybe around the 6th hour. With a primer, this thing just lasts really well throughout the night. So I think, if you have a decent primer and then this, you're good to go. Next foundation is my holy grail foundation. in general. Like, trumps the drugstore, trumps high-end foundations. It's the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation. Like, seriously guys, where has this been all my life? This is like one of the best foundations I have tried in the longest time. I used to love the NARS Glow foundation, but I haven't tried that out in years, so I don't really know how it's going to sit now with my skin at this age. But at the moment, this one is thebomb.com. So if you guys have watched my first impressions of this foundation, you guys probably know already, I am completely and utterly amazed at this foundation. First of all, this cost me probably like around 50 Aussie dollars at Sephora, and you get 50 mils of product. Like, what? What? Most of these foundations are like 30 mils, and you know, even the MAC one, it's like 30 mils. That's like just standard throughout many brands. 30 mils, that's it. This one is 50 mils, and it's like 50 Australian dollars. That is dirt cheap for a brand like this in Australia. Like, if you guys haven't been to Australia or you guys don't live in Australia, you guys don't understand how expensive makeup is here. To find a foundation that is 1, really, really good, 2, amazing coverage, 3, $50 for 50 ml, that is like amazing. Like, I should calm down now. In terms of its coverage, it's definitely medium to medium full coverage. Absolutely love how this looks on my skin. And again, it's one of those foundations that looks like it's in between looking like skin and foundation. Again, completely up to what you think looks like skin, but to me it just makes my skin look flawless. Like, it looks like flawless skin as soon as I blend it out. My preferred method with this is the beauty blender. I don't particularly like using this with a brush. I find it's a little bit streaky. I think it's just because of the consistency of this foundation, but otherwise, you know, I'm really happy. I don't have the need to feel like I need to add a little bit more to conceal like spots or anything. Like, I literally just use one pea size and that's pretty much it. And if I needed a little bit more coverage, I'll just take a tiny dab and then just put it on where I need it, and you know, I'm pretty good. Like, this foundation is amazing. So as you guys can tell, that's my favorite foundation. Yes, it's definitely my favorite foundation. And that concludes my favorite foundations of 2016. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you guys enjoyed, and tell me down in the comment box down below what are some of your favorite HG foundations, or just your HG foundation, because let's be real, I am on a mission this year to add more products into my collection. Actually, I don't know when I'm uploading this. Am I uploading this still in 2016 or 2017? Let's just say I'm looking forward to add more things in 2017. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!